Yo, what's going on, guys? And we're back today. Took a few days off. I was in Orlando for the G League Showcase. We'll have some content coming out from there shortly. Go check out hoopshype.com for more of that stuff. Either way, today, ESPN is reporting, and as myself, who currently I'm credentialed to go to, Miami Heat practices and shoot-arounds, and the ESPN put out a report today, kind of already reinforcing some vibes and thoughts I had that the Miami Heat are unlikely to trade Jimmy Butler this season. I'm not saying it's impossible or it's not going to happen. It just seems like it's looking like that. And for me, from what I've talked with other people who potentially have better knowledge of the situation, nobody related to the team at all. I don't have anyone like that, but just other journalists who have, better ties with agents and stuff like that, basically agreed when I floated the idea that this could play out to a similar situation to Pascal Siakam and the Raptors, where Jimmy Butler has a $52 million player option. There aren't any teams with cap space this offseason. Yeah, teams can make cap space, but we all know with the current apron situation, it's just it's a bit hard, and that we're expecting smaller trades to happen. With that being said, I think the situation shows that he'll opt into the $52 million, and they'll either attempt to trade him for to split that up into multiple contracts to make it a flexible situation, similar to how the Raptors did it with both OG and Pascal, to see if they can get some assets back, or go into the season and trade him before the trade deadline, or even keep him if they can find a number they can agree on. But if they trade him, I think it's going to be this offseason or next trade period in the season before the deadline to a team that intends to resign him, similar to how Pascal was sent to the Pacers. He resigned there in free agency, and OG Anunoby was sent to the Knicks and resigned there. So that's how I see the situation. And if we want to read what Mr. ESPN put out, I think it'll give us kind of a context clue into what we're hearing. So it's basically coming out that for ESPN's Sean Ferrani, that Jimmy Butler's future, that there's a growing consensus, is he's unlikely to be traded unless there's an offer they cannot turn down. As of right now, Butler's likely to accept that $52 million option for next season, in my opinion. And the Heat are eligible to re-sign him to $112 million if they want to, which would replace his $52.4 million at $54.1. Look, they have June 30th to accept, do that extension. I think it's unlikely. I think if they do an extension, maybe it's like a Fred VanVleet extension where he's only able to sign a 2-year. So I know Fred signed a 3+1. My thoughts is maybe they can structure it where first year's fully guaranteed, second year's partially to not guaranteed. I think Butler shows that he's still a good player, and the projected free agency lack of cap space and contenders having said cap space is gonna, if he is trading the offseason, it's probably gonna be a sign and trade if he is truly declining it. But I think his $52 million annual salary for next year is going to make it quite prudent for a trade to straight up. So if we're going off that idea, if he's going to be traded similar to a Toronto Raptors style, we obviously know the New York Knicks still possess the salary. Maybe it's a combination of Josh Hart and Mikal Bridges. I don't know how. Someone tell me what a Knicks trade. I just think maybe that's what they want. I still think that's far-fetched. I personally think if it's not Golden State, who's going to give you probably, if it's not during this year, it's on the offseason, it's obviously like a Wiggins base package. And the rest, I know some people might float a 76ers idea. I think you got to look at how so far, he's averaging like 18 points a game. I think the Miami Heat are just going to have to decide if it makes sense for them to go out and get multiple contracts or young assets. I think right now they're trying to go ahead with Tyler Hero and Bam Adebayo. And if the Heat want to do right by Jimmy, and if Jimmy's looking to choose his way to go somewhere, I wouldn't be surprised if it's not, as we said, Golden State, which seems to be the most logical conclusion because it kind of just fits them. I would think any of the Texas teams, him being a Texas guy, obviously, Houston's going to be the one. I think they're the least likely because they like their team. I think San Antonio's the second least likely because what are they going to give up? Keldon Johnson and Jeremy Sohan? What is that package going to really look like? I don't know what that would be. So I can't sit here and be like, oh, they can sign someone with X, Y, Z. Because I think the most likely would be the Dallas Mavericks, which then you would think it'd be like a PJ Washington, Maxi Kleber. I think Kleber still has a year left on the field, might be expiring, so that it just becomes a little hard for the Mavericks, but that's the one that makes the sense, and he's a Texas guy if it's not Golden State. And then outside of that, we go back to the Knicks. That's where I want to hear you. I just don't think they're going to trade him. And if he were to leave, if he really truly declined his option, it wasn't about money, maybe he stays. Maybe he leaves. I do think we've seen a history that the Miami Heat are kind of cool with letting guys walk. That's the other thing that I truly do believe. If Jimmy iterates and what he truly thinks, then it quite possibly means he thinks that it isn't worth sticking around Miami, and he'll take whatever money he can get on the open market, or he doesn't care for money and he wants to stick around in Miami, and the money doesn't matter. So I think the whole thing is just that money doesn't matter, and like his kids matter, his family matters. So that's what I'm getting at. I'm not saying that he wants to leave or not. I think his happiness matters, and if he's happy in Miami and if the money's right, and then he'll stay. And if he truly doesn't care to make the $52 million, he'll decline his option and test the waters and see what he can get. But if money maximizing his value would mean more than likely accepting the $52 million option and trying to be traded in the offseason, or try to be traded during the season, and then go to a team that he intends to re-sign, which would help the Heat have an easier time trading him, and then you would probably look for a package similar to the RJ Barrett package the Knicks gave for OG Anunoby. I don't know what that would be. Let's say the team that, again, we go back to Golden State. I'm trying to think because if it's an extension, you get stuck with the whole, I don't know if I need to check this out, but I don't know if, like, let's say the Kuminga was extended. I need to check the CBA for this, or ask around if he's extended, like, or re-signed in free agency. Do they just have to wait 6 months to trade him? Or is he, like, stuck to a year? I think he's stuck to a year if it's an extension. If he's just re-signed, it's 6 months after the contract signed. If that's the case, you re-sign Kuminga to a number, you'd then be able to package like Kuminga and Wiggins, and then a young prospect or Moses Moody for Butler in this hypothetical situation. Let me hear you guys' thought on that one.